NASA's Artemis program represents a lot more than just a return to the moon. It's a major investment in future technology, economic growth, geopolitical relationships, and the future of human exploration. The Artemis missions are going to be some of the most important and influential space programs of the 20th century, and the younger generations will grow up learning about their impacts. The Artemis missions are NASA's latest attempt to land humans on the moon, with the end goal of having a sustained moon presence by the year 2032. This is an extremely tight timeline to accomplish this task, but as we've seen with successful launches of both Artemis 1 and 2, there is a system that clearly works to get rockets to the moon and back safely and efficiently. Artemis 4 will be the first mission to land on the moon, as missions 1 and 2 were simple flybys of the moon's backside to collect data. These missions will differ from the Apollo missions that took place in the 1960s because they are focused on establishing permanent habitats on the moon rather than just planting a simple flag and landing humans for the first time. Sustainable living on the moon enables a wider launch window to Mars, reducing fuel burn and making launches more cost-effective. Artemis is essentially our gateway to inheriting the planets in our solar system. The Artemis programs are so important not only because they expand our knowledge of space, but also because of the technological innovation that major space programs bring when in development. For example, during the 1960s space race, NASA developed memory foam, cordless power tools, digital cameras, scratch-resistant lenses, and even discovered that adding grooves to runways makes rain easier to manage, leading to better highway safety systems across the United States. All of these things that we use regularly are only here because of the Apollo missions. With that knowledge, one can only wonder what technology will stem from the Artemis missions being developed over 60 years later. Artemis has already started development on a new spacesuit technology that puts the old spacesuits used in the Apollo missions to shame. These new suits are equipped to handle the extreme temperatures of the moon's south pole and monitor all vitals of the astronauts inside of them. This new technology can be applied in areas such as firefighting here on Earth, as well as making better fitness trackers that people can wear and consume. NASA has also been researching how to use moon dust to build 3D habitats on the moon. If they succeed, it would mean a technology that can basically 3D print a house. This would allow for construction costs to decrease significantly and, in turn, provide more people with homes across the United States. Another major advancement that is being accelerated by the Artemis program is artificial intelligence. NASA has been training robots and other systems in AI in order to cut down on research and development costs and help to train AI programs for different tasks here on Earth. The point of these technological advancements is not to show what the mission needs to succeed, but instead to show that these missions have a direct impact on the people of Earth. Artemis also has the potential to lead a massive economic growth across the United States and the world. NASA is currently getting funded through the federal budget. They are allocated $24 billion annually, and about $7.5 billion of that goes directly towards the Artemis program. However, this slice of the federal budget is tiny compared to other major operations within the United States, such as the military. Despite having such a tiny portion of the budget, the Artemis missions are projected to generate trillions of dollars for the country's economy. In 2023, NASA reported that Artemis generated $75.6 billion of economic gain across the country, and the program supports over 400,000 jobs worldwide. These missions hold a tremendous amount of weight across the United States, while only costing a fraction of its budget. It works in a domino effect. The government spending for Artemis goes towards different contractors, such as Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and SpaceX. These companies hire engineers, manufacturers, and supply chain workers in order to fulfill those contracts. Those workers, who now have jobs because of the Artemis program, spend money like any other American, pumping more money back into the economy. Another impact Artemis has is through the use of private contractors. Having a contract with the United States government is an extremely valuable thing. All of the aerospace manufacturers want to put their very best possible products up in hopes of being chosen for these contracts. Competition drives innovation, which leads to the best possible inventions being used on these missions. In 2021, NASA awarded SpaceX, a space exploration company founded by billionaire Elon Musk, a contract to develop the official moon lander for the first manned mission back to the lunar surface. They immediately got to work on Starship, a massive rocket capable of landing its primary boosters back on Earth after takeoff. This was groundbreaking technology and showed that rockets could be reusable. This meant that future missions could take off from the moon. As test flights took place, SpaceX began to see flaws with the design. Multiple launches ended in the rockets exploding before completing their missions, and it led to fear among NASA that SpaceX wasn't equipped for the job. In May of 2023, after another failed launch of Starship, NASA made the decision to award another contract to Blue Origin, another private space company started by another billionaire, Jeff Bezos. At the time, Blue Origin was primarily a commercial space company, being mostly known for taking famous people to the edge of space. However, behind these antics, they had major ambition. They had been working on the New Glenn rocket, along with the Blue Moon lander. At this point, NASA has the two best private space companies in the world, in a neck-and-neck race to build the next moon lander, an accomplishment that would fuel their businesses for years to come. This shows the massive amount of pull that the Artemis program has, and the money that it can generate when used correctly. When Artemis 3 launches in 2027, both companies will hopefully be launching rockets alongside it. NASA will then perform a series of tests in low Earth orbit that involve docking the different spacecraft and doing the first refueling in space. If all goes well, it's a race to land the first unmanned mission to the moon back before Artemis 4 in 2028. With these new technologies, Artemis has the opportunity to build entirely new industries. This is where massive amounts of the money comes from. Lunar mining is a major opportunity that is being looked at right now. If a cost-effective way of mining lunar materials becomes available, then billions of dollars will be made just from how valuable those resources are on their own. Artemis is also at the forefront of lunar tourism. With sustainable housing on the moon, people could pay a premium to travel and visit. There are so many opportunities staring Artemis right in the face, and as it moves forward and further into action, it will be very interesting to see what comes out.
Right now, Artemis is driving major technological innovation within the United States, but space exploration is a global fever, and China is tailing right behind. Throughout history, politics has long been the primary driving force in space exploration. During the Cold War, the narrative was the United States was an explorer. Russia and the USA were in a fight to achieve greatness beyond the boundaries of our atmosphere. However, the real story is that each country wanted power over the other. Whoever landed on the moon first had the better rocket science, and behind that is nuclear leverage. In 1969, the United States won this battle and held a political victory over the Soviets. Today, the political landscape surrounding space exploration is a little different. China is now the biggest competitor with the United States, and unlike the Cold War era, today these countries are fighting for the global influence and economic domination, rather than ideological conflict. A successful manned moon landing puts whoever accomplished it at the forefront of global innovation and technology. The world will turn to them for future space contracts and buy their technology once it becomes available to the public. It's about more than bragging rights. It's a ticket to the top of the global stage. China has been a major competitor in the space exploration scene for a while now. They recently launched a mission to the moon that involved launching multiple probes out to collect surface samples to be studied back on Earth. The mission was a complete success and has put China ahead of the United States since they have successfully landed on the moon, although just not with people. China is planning to have people on the moon by 2030, which is an ambitious goal that almost perfectly lines up with that of the United States. With these two superpowers going against each other for the same goal, the next few years will be very interesting as we see each individual technology develop. Despite the many benefits, the Artemis program has gone through its fair share of criticism. The most common critique is how much the missions are going to cost. Billions of taxpayer dollars are already being spent on these missions, and if they fail, it will have all been for nothing. These billions instead could have been spent on something such as protecting the environment from the emissions produced from prior space programs. Another issue that many have brought up with the missions has to do with astronaut safety. According to the BBC, 19 astronauts have died on their trips to space, with many more being killed during training on Earth. This is not a safe or easy job launching rockets, and it begs the question, does the reward outweigh the 4 lives that are on board these spacecraft? While all these concerns take a valid stance against the Artemis missions, they don't take into account the other factors riding on these missions. The NASA budget is currently below 0.5% of the federal budget. This is a sliver of a dollar in the grand scheme of things, and the economic benefit projected from these missions far outweighs the upfront cost. Furthermore, those brave men and women who lost their lives in space did it in the name of science. Their sacrifice has led to inventions that are used around the globe and research that has changed how we view the world. The Artemis missions are a stepping stone in the long history of human advancement. Every generation has had its moment, and the moment of the 21st century will be landing a human on another planet, marking a milestone that has only been achieved in science fiction, becoming a multi-planetary species. Artemis will spark untold economic growth over the course of its developmental lifetime and will bring technology that has only been dreamt of to life. Geopolitical relations will rise and fall as space exploration becomes this focus of this new age. Artemis is going to change the world.